The Pittsburgh Steelers are one day away from training camp. Football is finally back. And as I make my way to Latrobe, these are the players that I'm watching. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, we are off to Latrobe, Pennsylvania. It is time for training camp. Football is back. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the field, and it is once again the most exciting time of the year. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there are plenty of expectations, plenty of players to watch, plenty of storylines, plenty of bubble roster spots available. There are so many headlines surrounding this team heading into St. Vincent College, but I have a few players that I have my eyes on early that I believe can shape this team, but could also fight for a roster spot. I categorize the must watch in two different ways. Those who can change the destination of the 2023 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and those who can begin their journey in Pittsburgh. But it isn't guaranteed. Let's start with a wide receiver. And I have two of them that I'm going to combine into one. That is Allen Robinson and Calvin Austin. Those two, in my eyes, are the first players that I have my eyes on. Those two take the Steelers to another level or keep them exactly where they are. Last year at this time, we were talking about Deontay Johnson stepping into a huge role, Chase Claypool becoming a superstar, George Pickens earning his place on the team and becoming the next X factor of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. We made a big deal about Najee Harris's thighs, and Jaylen Warren stole the show. This year, it is about Calvin Austin and Allen Robinson becoming dynamic players for the Pittsburgh Steelers and becoming a part of this offense that the Steelers desperately need. For one, the Steelers need flash. They had no flash. They have gone years without flash. It has been a long time since the Pittsburgh Steelers have had a player or a set of players that you thought at any moment could make a huge play, that at any moment could take it 60 yards to the house. It has been a long time of fundamental, slow-moving football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Years. Antonio Brown was the last one, and Juju Smith-Schuster had his bursts, but it's been a long time. Calvin Austin changes all of that. He allows anyone to come in here and say, well, we could ignore him, or we have to pay attention to him. And if he's able to push a defense and say, you have to pay attention to me, it does wonders for everyone around him. But at the same time, if he's able to get open and make plays and be the electric player that he's been, this is a scary player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Calvin Austin can be used anywhere. Last year, I saw him make as many big man outside catches as I saw him make electrifying inside catch and runs. He is a versatile player. He could play the inside, he could play the slot, and Najee Harris believes that he could even play in the backfield if need be. The guy could run a 4.2. He's still just as fast as he was before the injury. He told me that he is feeling just about 100% and that his burst isn't even fully back, and already he's able to burn anybody on a football field. That means that there is more coming. And last year, during training camp, he was probably one of the top 3, maybe top 4 most exciting players on the Steelers roster. An untimely injury ended all of that. This year, if he stays healthy, I'm telling you, Calvin Austin changes everything for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He would change everything for any offense that he is on. But for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who desperately need that X factor to just catch and go, and boom, you can't catch him. It's been a long time of boom, you can't catch him. The Steelers desperately need a Calvin Austin, and he's ready. And I feel that last year, a letdown, but it allowed him to kind of loosen those expectations. I thought they were a little high. This year, I think he's exactly where he needs to be. And to be honest, I think people are sleeping on him. And Calvin Austin, in my eyes, is going to be an X factor. Allen Robinson changes the game completely in a different way. The Steelers' other missing piece to the puzzle last year when it came to their offense and their capabilities on offense, and I'm not talking groups of players, and I'm not talking play callers or the types of plays that the Steelers ran as a whole. I'm talking the players that are on the field that the Steelers could utilize in certain moments. They needed speed. The other thing is they needed a big body in the red zone. They really, really needed a big body in the red zone because Kenny Pickett, as uncomfortable as he was and as adjustments came and things started to ease up, he was missing one thing, and that was a reliable set of hands once you got within the 20-yard line. Because when Najee Harris couldn't pound it in and Jaylen Warren couldn't pound it in and Deontay Johnson couldn't get open and George Pickens was getting double covered, you needed a big body. Pat Freiermuth is one, but you need two. And you need one that's a wide receiver. You need one that's able to move to the outside. That's what Allen Robinson brings. It's been 2-3 seasons since Allen Robinson has had a big year, and I don't think that he's a 1,000-yard receiver in Pittsburgh. But I do think that he could be a 5 to 7 to 10 touchdown receiver for the Steelers if they utilize him correctly. They didn't bring him here to be a player that makes huge plays on a regular basis. They brought him here to be a reliable veteran for Kenny Pickett in the red zone. This was probably their smartest move outside of Isaac Seumalo that they could have possibly made on the open market. The trade with the Rams somewhat changed the Steelers' entire outlook because for the first time, Kenny Pickett has that guy that he could look at on the 5-yard line when the Steelers decide to pass. Allen Robinson is an immediate guy that you can immediately see the change in the impact. And you'll see it bright and early because the Steelers love to go red zone first thing in the morning during training camp. Next is the cornerback competition of a big three. And those big three will probably rarely play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is Luke Barku, James Pierre, and Corey Trice. The Steelers are likely going to keep 6 cornerbacks, but Corey Trice decides all of that. James Pierre, I believe, has an easy spot if Corey Trice is, well, terrible. But he's got to be terrible. I'm talking terrible. Corey Trice has all the makings of a great NFL wide or cornerback, excuse me. He has all the upside. He has some injury issues. But this guy is an avatar. He's 6'2", 6'3". He plays exactly like Joey Porter Jr. Those two are physical, big-bodied cornerbacks, and the Steelers want both of them around for a long, long time. But the expectations for year one for Corey Trice should be nothing more than this guy is going to sit on the bench. And if he makes the roster and forces the Steelers to keep 6 cornerbacks, that's a win for Corey Trice. What that does, the Steelers will keep Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., and Levi Wallace as their starters. I believe Patrick Peterson is going to bounce inside, and he's going to start in the slot with Joey Porter Jr. and Levi Wallace on the outside. They will keep another nickelback. I'm going to put my money on Elijah Riley. Then they're going to keep Trice as a backup, but only because they are too nervous to lose him on waivers if they put him on the practice squad. Then it comes down to one more reliable backup who's a veteran. And those two will most likely be Luke Barku or James Pierre. And James Pierre probably has the upper hand heading into camp. He has the experience. He has the playing time in Pittsburgh. They've seen what they could get out of him, and he's a reliable special teamer. At the same time, Luke Barku is young. He's 24 years old. He's coming off a great XFL season. He has a little bit of NFL experience. He made a ton of plays in minicamp and OTAs. And if you're going flashy, you're going to go with the young guy. But it's up to Luke Barku to earn that spot. It's up to Corey Trice to force them to keep 6 players. And that's going to be a great competition. Keanu Neal is an easy one for anybody. For one, I think he's a starter. And I think that him and DeMonte KZ are going to split reps, but I think Keanu Neal might take that first team by the time week 1 rolls around. He's also going to play inside linebacker. He's going to move into the box. He is an exaggerated Terrell Edmunds. He is everything that we have all talked about what Terrell Edmunds should be utilized as for the Pittsburgh Steelers, rolled into one. And now the Steelers have zero attachments, so they don't have to worry about, well, Terrell Edmunds doesn't play this position. Keanu Neal does play that position. He does play inside linebacker. He does play safety. He does play in the box. He plays anywhere and everywhere because that's who Keanu Neal is. That is what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been looking for. He is the scariest looking human being on the planet. He is a massive body, even if you do put him at inside linebacker. And at no point do you have to worry about the Steelers' lack of talent because Keanu Neal is able to play two separate positions and probably add quality reps in both. And then DeMonte KZ could step in and be the ball hawk that he was last season. And then you have the ball production skills as well. It is a great combination for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and what Keanu Neal is capable of doing and the impact that he could have on the Steelers defense this season could be way bigger than we imagined. He is easily a player to watch. And if they put pads on and he's allowed to start thumping people, man, that's going to be a good time. Cole Holcomb is also on the list. And while I don't know what my expectations are for Cole Holcomb to this point, I view him as a potential savior for the Steelers inside linebacker room. They've been searching high and low for that guy who could just be a field general, who could be reliable on all three downs, who could cover and pass when needed, and who could stuff the run. And they have had zero luck finding that guy. This guy, he appears to be able to do both. And before an injury, he looked like he was on the rise in a huge way. I think Cole Holcomb has the potential. I am worried, but at the same time, the inside linebacker market in the NFL as a whole is terrible and doesn't seem to be getting any better. So you have to look at the situation and just say, it's slim pickings. And if Cole Holcomb could come in here and be reliable, well, that's great. That's all you're looking for. You could figure everything else out as you go, but as long as you have one reliable inside linebacker, you feel comfortable. Let Mark Robinson develop. Let a Landon Roberts be a third down run stuffer, short yardage type of guy. Work those guys. Feel good about it. Feel good about the development. Feel good about a step forward. But it all starts with Cole Holcomb. Then you got Kenny Pickett, and that is the big one. That's the only one that really matters. If Kenny Pickett stinks, the Pittsburgh Steelers stink, because that's just how the NFL works. I get that the Steelers will be a run-heavy offense. I get that Najee Harris will command much more of what the Steelers do in 2023 than Kenny Pickett will. I get that Matt Canada is still around, and to some degree, that's an excuse. I get that the offensive line seems much better, so the expectations are higher, and I also get that everybody and their mother is talking about Kenny Pickett and whether or not they believe in this kid. I'll say this. I don't know how much I believe in Kenny Pickett. I don't even think that's a conversation worth having right now. What I think is that last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers made sure that Kenny Pickett was very good in 2-minute drills and very good in the red zone. That Kenny Pickett didn't turn the ball over and that he felt comfortable enough to just turn his swagger on. That's what the Steelers made sure that he was able to do during training camp. Every chance they got, they shoved him into a 2-minute drill, and every chance they got, they shoved him into the red zone. While the red zone offense was a little weak, the 2-minute drills were perfect. And Kenny Pickett showed that he could do exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted him to do as a rookie. This offseason, I believe the goal is for the Pittsburgh Steelers to turn him into a complete quarterback and to make sure that he can not only just go win games in 2-minute drills, but he could win games in general. He could compete with anybody in the league, and he could keep the Steelers offense from crumbling at any time. That is their goal during training camp. And that goal is huge. That makes or breaks the Steelers' entire season. Are they contenders? Are they going to make a magical playoff run, or are they just going to be on the outside looking in once again? I don't know what I expect out of that. Again, it is a very, very tall glass. It is huge expectations. That is so much to put on one player's plate But if you're going to be a great NFL quarterback, all of that and more is on your plate. Kenny Pickett, well, he is the guy. He's going to be the one every single person is watching on every single snap. But go in there with the expectations of nothing. And just keep your eyes open for exactly what they're trying to do with him. Turn him into a complete, reliable quarterback. Understand how to be an elite NFL quarterback as you develop into one. It's hard to put that into words and just say, this is exactly what we're watching for. Instead, it's a more broad view, and one that I think Mike Tomlin and Mike Sullivan and Matt Canada are only going to be able to understand. But they have their goals for him. And last year, he met the goals. This year, if he does it again, the Steelers are in a phenomenal place. And like every year, the quarterback is the biggest name to watch. And with a second-year guy who now has the reins and is the starter, I mean, this is as exciting as it gets. So Kenny Pickett tops any list of players to watch for at Steelers training camp.